Welcome to another week of Eye of the Storm, a Guelph Storm podcast with myself, Ryan Drury, the voice of your Guelph Storm on Rogers TV. And I'm very pleased to be joined by a guy who's not necessarily new on the team this year. We got to see him in some action last year for the Storm at the Sleeman Center, but a guy who's really making his mark early in his OHL career this season in particular, defender Grant Spada. How are you, brother?
Good, good. I've been great. How have you been?
I'm doing well, man. And like I said, we got to look at you last year and you got into a few games with the team. And we were really, really impressed with how great you were already able to play at the OHL level. Obviously, having a lot of experience through minor hockey and playing some in the GOJHL as well. But we were all really, really impressed with how you used your size, which is obviously an asset. But now that you're on the team this year and you've been playing a lot more and getting a lot more minutes, how are you finding that you're settling in and adjusting to the Ontario Hockey League?
It's really fast, but it's a big change, but it's been amazing. Honestly, it's cool. You get treated like a pro, so there's nothing better than it. I'm excited. It's really good.
So I want to go all the way back to just, a little over a year ago when you get the call that you've been drafted by the Guelph Storm.
Yeah.
Obviously, a pretty exciting moment for you and your family. I know your dad's a hockey lifer. Your family supports you all the way through. What was it like to receive that call? It must have been a big day.
Yeah, wow. I still remember it. I was on the car ride with my dad and I was looking at the list and I saw my name, and then shortly after George called us in the car, and wow, like I was so excited. There's nothing like a feeling like that. Like honestly, probably one of the best feelings of my life. And I just remember my dad being so proud, my family coming home, they were so excited. It was a great day.
That was probably really cool for you to be able to get that call with dad right there, of course.
Yeah,
And your dad has been, like I said, a hockey lifer, officiated for a long time, and of course is very heavily involved with the Greater Ontario Junior Hockey League now, and has been for a little while. Obviously that must have been a really cool father-son moment for the two of you to kind of share that. And you're on your next step in your hockey journey. I'm sure that was a big day.
oh yeah, it was exciting. I remember he took me out for lunch after, and we were excited talking about it. And it's been a dream my whole life, and now it's came true. So hopefully there's next steps, but it's been really good.
Well, careful, because like when you go pro someday, dad's gonna turn around and be juicing you for lunches. Okay.
Yeah,
So
that's right. That's
Craig,
right.
Craig will be saying, "Hey, it's your turn to take the old man out."
Oh
So
yeah, yeah,
just be ready for that.
yeah.
I want to talk to you a little bit about obviously growing up in the Fort Erie area. And like I said, I mean, you had a dad that was involved in the game at such a high level. I mean, refed in the pros for a long time too, and is still heavily involved. What was it like? What do you remember, some of your earliest memories growing up in the area and playing hockey? What was special about growing up where you did?
Fort Erie's always been like a hockey town, and there's been a lot of people. Fort Erie Meteors obviously was everybody loved and everybody supports. So we always had outdoor games. It's cold down in Fort Erie, so it's nice. It's always been good, and yeah, I hopefully like my dad always was big in hockey, so he got me into hockey, and it's ever since then I've loved it, and I fell in love with the sport.
What are some of your earliest recollections of playing? When do you figure you first started playing seriously? Were you pretty young or was it a
Yeah,
little later?
no, I was young. I started as hockey, and it's always been hockey. I think I couldn't even tell you. Since I can remember, I've been playing. But I played Fort Erie Meteors when I was really young, and then I went up to AAA for the Southern Tier Admirals, and my dad was coach with Josh Orton. And I still contact him from now. He's a great guy, and he talked to me about how proud he is of me, and it's amazing how close you get from hockey relationships.
Well, and those guys obviously are key players in terms of your career as you moved up the ranks and obviously were big keys of inspiration for you. But when you think back to when you were a kid and you were like falling in love with the game and starting to maybe watch the NHL, who are some players that you remember being a really big fan of that you kind of thought, hey, I'd like to kind of model my game after the way that guy does things?
See, it's funny because I played center when I was younger, and I always loved Sidney Crosby. I always had posters and pictures of him up in my room, and a couple signed things, which was really cool. And yeah, I always had I like the goal scorers, but that's not my game style. But yeah, I've Sidney Crosby would be my favorite.
So you played center quite a bit when you were younger. When did the defense thing come into play?
I think when I kept getting bigger, and my dad was like, "Oh yeah, try out defense maybe," and I ended up playing defense, and I loved it. I stayed with it, and ever since. So I was probably probably 11, maybe 12 when that's when I switched.
Well, it's worked out really well for you. And I think I agree with Dad's take because it's not every day that you find a defenseman, particularly in this age group, that has your size. I mean, you're 6'4", you're still growing, you're still putting weight on, but you got a big frame back there, man. Like, you're a tough dude to get around. Like, when did you start kind of realizing that you had a bit of an acumen for the game where you kind of started to see, like, I think I can play this position really well and maybe go to the next level?
Um, probably U14, U15. It was getting we were our Southern Tier team was really good, and U16 I switched to Halton, and ever since then it was a dream. I was playing with Matthew Schaefer, and he's obviously gifted. You see from even recently the last night was crazy, but yeah, no, probably U16 was like I finally saw it coming. So, but
Take me through kind of your first experience, coming to the Sleeman Center, practicing with the team. Like I said, last year you got called up and you got into some games. I don't know if that was something you necessarily expected, but like I said, you fit right in. What was that experience like? And then transitioning to this year where you got to go to training camp.
yeah, I was so excited. My dad and I were talking on the way up. I still remember we just to make a good footprint for next year, for this year now. But I was 10th rounder. I obviously I just wanted to prove myself, and I ended up having a really good camp. And George ended up giving me a call probably like 3 weeks after, and I couldn't believe it that I was getting into a game. So yeah, and Guelph's a great organization, great. Uh, everything's great in Guelph. So it's a great city. I love it. It's been awesome, and I just remember that day was unreal. That's all I can say about it.
Well, the Royal City's happy to have you back there patrolling the blue line. And I wonder that day, when you realize, hey, I'm going to play my first OHL game, like when you got out on the ice, the whole day was probably a cool experience. Did you have one of those, like, I'm in the OHL moments when you were in your first game?
Yeah, I remember getting my first shift, and it was crazy fast. I remember, wow, like this is crazy that I'm here, and hopefully I was thinking at the time, hopefully I can play like these guys one day. But I was playing, but wow, it's crazy. It's yeah, it's insane.
So I wonder too, just about, obviously being from the Fort Erie area, you played for the minor hockey program growing up, and then, you did suit up a couple times, a handful of times, if I'm not mistaken, for your hometown Meteors
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
GOJHL. That was probably a pretty cool experience for you and the
Oh
family
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. There's the students there. It's great. It's cool. It's hometown. My dad's buddies and people I grew up with watching me, and it's nice. Like I always watched it growing up and being like, oh, this is really cool, and then coming to the next step is even better. But it was awesome. Yeah, it was good playing with 40 guys. They were a tight group of guys, so it was good.
Obviously, now with your dad being very, involved in the running of the GOJHL and your experience playing some games down there too, the league, it continues to grow and it continues to get exposure. Obviously, this year they rejigged the conferences, which has been really, really cool. talk about your experience in the league and how beneficial it can be to hockey players, because I still feel like at times the league is very underrated. It's a really
Yeah,
quality
of
league.
course. Yeah, no, it's a great league. Like for development, it's awesome. Even if you're older, it's still really high competitive hockey, right? So it's yeah, my dad's putting a lot of work into it. He loves it, and I'm happy for him. It's awesome. I swear by it. It was the best thing for me. It helped me grow. So yeah.
Obviously, I'm sure it was exciting for you and the community. The Meteors won the division title last year and
Yeah,
got into the Sutherland Cup playoffs. I'm sure that there was a big buzz all around the town. I was there
yeah.
for it. It was pretty exciting, man. It's a packed
Oh
barn.
yeah.
It's a loud spot.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. Like Fort Erie, it's awesome community for they had crazy amount of fans that all the games and playoffs. I remember seeing all it was packed in Fort Erie. I've never seen it packed in Fort Erie until that games, but wow, it was a great experience.
Absolutely. Well, talk about experience. You're getting a lot of it this year. You're playing a lot of heavy minutes for the Storm. And I know, the last month's been a little up and down, and, Jet came back and the offense has taken off, and you guys are still kind of finding your footing with a new coaching system. And for you specifically as a defenseman, I'm curious what it's been like for you to establish a relationship with Corey Stillman and his staff, and as a defender in particular, Rob Davison, who played a long, long time in the NHL. What's that been like for you to kind of pick their brains a little bit and get your feet under you?
Yeah, it's awesome. Rob is really great to me. So is Corey. Everyone is, but Rob helps me a lot. He has good tips. I make sure to listen to him every time. And Corey's a great guy. Corey's an awesome coach, and it's been nothing but great. Every guy would vouch for me there.
Yeah, well, I've heard nothing but good things, and I've been able to talk to all of them on a few different occasions, had all of them on this show, and they're very interesting guys. And, Rob in particular, he has a pretty laid back, demeanor, but he was a mean customer when he played. I wonder if any of you ever bring up the Vesa Toskala incident with him. Like, do the players ever, bring
We
that
yeah,
up to him?
yeah, we went over a couple of his fights. It was insane. I watched a couple. He was a tough guy, and it's awesome. Hopefully I can go under him, and hopefully I get a little bit of his meanness because that's all you really need. He was tough.
He was tough, and of course, scored that crazy bounce goal on Toskala all those
Yeah,
years. I
that's
was
right.
actually in the arena when that happened. That was
Really,
I was at that Leaf game,
yeah,
man. It was you could hear a
yeah,
pin drop after that puck went in on poor
yeah. I
Vesa. That
remember.
was
Yeah, I think Jake Carabella brought it up like a couple of weeks ago, and we were all like, "Oh, that was you," and we didn't even know until he brought it up. But yeah, it was crazy.
It's an all-time YouTube blooper, man, and
Yeah,
there's your coach right in the middle of
yeah,
it. Pretty crazy stuff. That might have been the only goal he scored that year, too. What a
yeah,
coincidence. You talk about the speed of the league, obviously, and like you're in a division that's got a lot of really quality players. I mean, run down the guys on the London Knights, Erie's on fire, Kitchener's playing really well. Owen Sound's got a bunch of guys. Like you're in a division with a lot of really skilled players. You brought up Matt Schaefer, obviously, a guy that you kind of know and grew up with. Like, what's it been like for you to be in this division? I think it's the most competitive division in the OHL. What's it like to play in that all the time?
it's crazy. Every team obviously is really good in the OHL, but there's skilled guys on all these teams, and it's hard. Some of them have some tough guys, and then there's also really skilled guys, and this league it's awesome, and this division's super tough, and it just makes us better though. So it's good.
You reference Matt Schaefer, obviously, and the CHL and USA Prospects Challenge is going on as we record this. Your buddy Quinn Beauchene is participating in that, obviously. And I'm sure everybody has by now seen the now viral clip of him talking about the moon water.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
that's going to be a big talking point here. Did you guys before the video came out know about this ritual he's participating in?
So this is actually funny. I was at his house, and he said that to me about because I saw a glass of water and I was gonna drink it. And I didn't even. I was just looking for a drink, and he goes, "No, no, don't touch it. It's my billet mom got me into this. It's moon water." I didn't think anything of it until I really saw the video and I understand what it actually meant. But it's funny, yeah. That was that. I didn't know for sure, but now that I've seen it, I might get onto it.
Yeah, hey, if that takes off, we're gonna have to like start blaring like "Bark at the Moon" at the arena or
Yeah.
something. This is
Oh, yeah, true.
it's taken off. I find it funny that I brought this up to you and you actually witnessed the making of Moonwater.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
saved you from ruining the ritual. It's pretty interesting. He can bet that he's gonna hear a lot of moon references from now
Oh, for
on.
sure. Yeah,
So
I talked to him yesterday. He was excited. I watched him play. He played great. Everyone. It was a good game, but yeah, he was. That's funny. I'm gonna talk to him about it after actually.
I respect too that he outed himself because a lot
Yeah,
of guys like to jump on their teammates and go, "This guy's a bit of a weird cat." He just straight up came right out and said, "I'm the weird guy. I'm doing this stuff." And I wonder what that's like the dynamic in the dressing room because like us, like we don't go in there and we don't want to be in there and the
yeah.
fans obviously don't see it either. We just see what happens out on the ice. Like, what is the dynamic like in the locker room? Because, you guys seem like a pretty tight bunch.
Oh yeah, it's yeah. I never knew like coming into junior like in the OHL. I always thought like the 20-year-olds were like buddies of the 20-year-olds and the 16s or the 16-year-olds. But no, honestly, like everyone's super close in the room. It's a great bunch of guys. I've never seen anything like I haven't been like a team of like an older group yet, but it's been awesome. I can nothing but good words about this.
I need off the back of that to ask you something. Now, I had Nemesnikov on last week. I had talked to him previously. I've talked to Ryan McGuire about this, and you're a young guy. I'm sure you grew up playing the NHL games. I
Oh yeah.
need you to settle a debate for me. Like everybody, Migsy thinks he's the best NHL player on the team. I've heard. And last year there was a controversy because there was some on the team that said, no, no, hold on, Braden Bowman's the best. Well, Bonesy's not here anymore. So I need you, if you can confirm this for
All
me,
right. I will.
is
I will.
Migsy, is he the best?
Okay, before I say who's the best, I think I'm underrated. I don't think the boys have seen what I have bring to the table.
Okay, I
But
like that.
but I from what I've heard and what I've seen, Migsy is the best so far. But they haven't seen
Wow.
me play yet. They haven't seen me play.
I like the confidence where you're like, hold on just a sec. I haven't shown
Yeah.
my stuff off here. I
Yeah.
I remember like if we couldn't be outside to play street hockey, NHL was on repeat and we would just have tournaments all day. I'm curious, did you do like the three random rule and then the one death extra tap?
Yeah, that's right. You get three randoms. If you don't like all three of the teams, then you get one random and you have to
That's
take it. But
right.
yeah, that's right.
If you were allowed, as you were growing up in the heyday of playing it, did you have like a preferred team or you were like, oh, if I get this team, I'm winning 6-0?
Yeah, I always like Toronto as home. Like I always like it as hometown, but I would say I built a good connection with Toronto on NHL. So that would be the team I'd go to.
Very good. I'm a Caps fan, so if I got the Caps, I was
Yeah,
scoring bare minimum 5 with Ovi,
that's
okay?
right.
Like
That's right.
lot of one-timers. So I really need to we got to find a pocket of time where I can get in the mix here and play some of you guys cuz
That's
I
awesome. That sounds
I,
good.
I think look, I don't want to brag. I used to be a top 100 player.
I
I
I
think I
I,
could damage some of you guys, man.
I
I
would give you
really
a good
do.
run for your money. I'm telling you.
I like the confidence, and all I've heard over the last year and a half is Migsy, Migsy, Migsy. I'm glad you think that you could get
Yeah,
involved. You've seen him play clearly, and you thought, you
yeah.
know what, I could do
I
something here.
I think I could, but Migsy does hold the belt so far.
I like that. Okay, so I'm gonna give him the belt for now because a lot of people have confirmed he's the guy.
Yeah,
I know though that Max and like you guys have downtime you got to kill and whatever. Like Max is a big COD guy. He loves the
yeah,
Call of Duty. Are you involved in this because he's very confident? He's like, no one else on the team is even close to me.
yeah. I'll give him that. I'm not a big COD guy. I'll play Fortnite with the boys a bit, but I like Chell. Chell's my favorite.
Yeah, Chell. When I was growing, Chell and FIFA. FIFA was a
Yeah,
later thing, but that yeah, I'd actually argue I'm a better FIFA player than I am at Chell, and that's saying
yeah,
something. So.
yeah.
Obviously, growing up, you proximity to the Leafs, and I'm sure you're probably a Leaf fan. What do you think of these rumors about the overdrive guys are getting the Sidney Crosby to Toronto flag going? You're a big Crosby guy, you're a big Leaf guy. What do you think? How would that work?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I like the Leafs, but I also like the Sabres. The Sabres were always really close to me, so it's hard to pick between the two. But I can't comment on that. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Well, hey, maybe he ends up a Saber. You never know. They're starting to play a little better too, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have a soft spot for the Sabres. My cousin played there, so that would have been
Really?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Chris Jury back in the day. Shout out
Yeah.
cousin Chris. I'm curious too, just about your routine on game days. Like I've talked to some guys that are pretty upfront and are like, I'm superstitious. I'm a little weird with my equipment. Tommy Budnick in particular was like, I'm the worst guy on the team. Like he full on outed himself. What are you like? What's your routine like? Are you a super guy or are you just kind of go with the flow?
Yeah, I would say I'm pretty superstitious. My
Really?
billet,
Okay.
yeah, my billets laugh at me and my billet sister because I don't if we have a win, I always keep the same outfit on, and for before the games, I always dress right to left for like my skates and my shin pads, and yeah, I would say I'm pretty superstitious.
Okay, does that involve because this is where a lot of hockey players get real particular. Does that involve the stick? What kind of stick are you using and do you have to do anything special to it? Do you talk to it before the game? What's going on with the stick?
No, I'm not that bad. I use a CCM stick, and I I always do the same tape job on the bench right before the game, and I usually flick three squirts of water on the ice, and then that's my routine before the game for my stick.
Okay, so I mean, you got some stuff in there that's a
Yeah,
routine,
yeah.
but it's not the weirdest stuff I've ever
No,
heard.
no,
Because
no,
I
no,
know
definitely.
I know of guys all the way up to the pro. Well, Yarmer Yager used to do it like when he was young. I know guys that like would whisper to the stick as they
Yeah,
taped it,
no,
like some really odd stuff. Like,
no, yeah.
yeah,
I don't do that. I'm not that bad with it, but I'm for sure superstitious.
I knew of a guy that grew up in my hometown in Arthur that he used to eat a peanut butter and onion sandwich before every game. Swore by
Really?
it. He was like, "Yeah, peanut butter and onions." And we all
Huh.
thought like, "Okay, like that this can't be helping you." And one
Yeah.
night he didn't eat one and he got 7 points. Still went back to the peanut butter and onion. I
Really?
couldn't believe it. I
I
could not
wouldn't I
believe it.
wouldn't do that. I always have my game prep ready, my billets. They always get me a perfect meal. I have pasta with broccoli in it and some chicken. It's awesome. I have it every time.
That's the way to go, man. I like it. When you go on road trips and you've been able to experience quite a few of them, luckily in the OHL there aren't crazy ones like out
Yeah.
west. But what's your routine like on the bus? Like, are you a big cards guy? Do you like to keep to yourself? Is there movies going? Like, what's the routine like?
A little bit of both. Like I'm not a big cards guy. I don't like
Okay,
cards, but I'll watch them and I'll talk to them about like just about different things. But
all right.
I like a little bit of music in the beginning, and then I usually end up taking out my earbuds and going back and talking to the guys. But yeah, it's the routine's the same really for road trips. I like road trips personally. I like them more than everything else except game days, like on home games. Best, they're the best because it's close and you have the same routine every day. But yeah, I like the long road trips.
Are you like a big shows and movies guy? Like, are there any shows or movies that are go-tos for you? Rattle a couple off for us.
Yeah, I recently Gotham. It's like when he was younger. I love that. That's pretty good. And Yellowstone. I recently stopped watching Yellowstone. It's funny because I usually never. I always watch one and then finish it and then the next. But I started Gotham in between Yellowstone, and it totally switched me to Gotham.
There you go. Yellowstone's a popular one for sure.
Yeah,
You mentioned music, obviously. Now I know that your room, big country room. I feel like I say this every week. It's
yeah,
hardcore country. Are
yeah.
you
It is.
riding along with the country and
Oh
western?
yeah, I've listened to country as long as I can remember. My dad, we grew up on a farm, so that's all I got going. But yeah, I usually country every day except game days. Usually I usually just do rap music.
A lot of guys like the rap stuff. Like, what's a go-to pump up? What are you listening to get fired up?
I like Sleepy Hollow. I like Sleepy Hollow. Probably my favorite. Yeah,
That's a new one. You're a
yeah,
unique one. I have not heard that one yet.
yeah.
On
No,
that
they're
note,
nice.
on that
Yeah.
note, I wonder, and some guys I've had suggestions for, and I have one for you, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on this first. I like to ask guys if you were allowed to pick a custom goal song, what do you
Oh,
think you would go to? Because I do have a suggestion for you, but I would like to hear yours.
I'd probably uh that's a tough one. I would do something country. I'd
Yeah.
probably whiskey. I like that. I like that. That pumps me up, that song actually.
That
Yeah.
would get the crowd jumping too. I
Yeah.
like that. I was born and bred rock and metalhead guy, so I've
Yeah.
got one for you that would juice the crowd up. It's a classic. I don't know if you're familiar with the tune, but I think the Ace of Spades by
I've never heard
Motorhead.
that. I gotta listen to it after.
The Ace of Spades by
Okay,
Motorhead.
I'm gonna listen to that after. I'm sure I've probably heard it. I'm
It's
sure.
it's a classic rock tune, and I think that if you scored and the Ace of Spades came on, people
Yeah.
would get juiced up, brother. I
All
I
right.
think that that's a good one. Also, it's like it's not super metal. It's like a rock song,
Yeah.
and you play a rock and roll type of game out there, so I feel like it suits your personality. Maybe
Yeah.
run
No, I'm
somebody
gonna.
over and then
Yeah.
go and then clap one bar south. I feel like that would get people going, right?
I'm gonna listen to that after, and I'll see. I hopefully I'll spread the word.
Yeah, I want to hear your feedback on it for
All
sure.
right.
All right, just to end off, I mean, obviously it's been a really cool story to have you be part of the Storm, and you continue to get better and better. What would you say is the best part of being a Guelph Storm and playing at the Sleeman Center?
Um, I would say I'd say first, probably the guys. The guys. I couldn't ask for a better group of guys, and the community and like the organization, the city. Honestly, everything is awesome. I love Guelph. It's nothing but great so far. So that's all I can say about it. It's been awesome.
Well, the Royal City loves having you around, man. Congrats on all your success so far. It's great to have you on the show. Thanks so much for doing this, Grant.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Remember, everybody, you can find this show on the Guelph Storm website, the social media feeds, all your favorite podcast apps. And if you want to come down to the Sleeman Center and watch Grant Spada and his Guelph Storm teammates, you can find tickets on the Guelph Storm website or the box office at the Sleeman Center. We'll be back next week with more Eye of the Storm.